The pounding would not stop. It came fast, sharp, each strike echoing through the wooden house until it felt like the walls themselves shook. The rancher sat up in his bed, heart hammering, shotgun already in his grip. He did not ask who it was. He just walked, bare feet on cold boards, the sound of fists beating the door filling the night. He yanked it open. She stood there. Her face was pale, streaked with dirt, lips trembling. Her dress was torn, hair clinging wet to her cheeks. For a moment, she only stared, wide-eyed, as though she had seen a ghost. Then her hand shot forward, pressing against the frame. "Let me in." His voice was flat, rough with sleep and disbelief. "No, please," she whispered, pushing harder. "They're out there. I don't have anywhere else. You got nerve." His shotgun stayed leveled. "After what you'd done, I don't care what I did. I need a door between me and them. You laughed at me, right in front of the whole town." Her breathing hitched. "I know, but this isn't about pride. This is life and death." He studied her, jaw tight. The pounding of her fists had stopped, but the sound still rang inside him. She looked smaller now, shivering, clutching herself against the night wind. "Step back." "No," she said. "If I step back, they'll see me. Better them than me." "You'd watch me die?" He didn't blink, watched worse. Her shoulders slumped. She pressed her forehead against the doorframe. "Please, I'm begging you. You don't have to forgive me. You don't even have to look at me. Just let me breathe inside your walls until morning." The rancher shifted the shotgun, but his eyes never softened. "Who's after you?" "Men," she said quickly. "Sent by him." His mouth curled bitter. "The rich one?" Her silence answered for her. "You thought he'd keep you safe." Her voice broke, sharp and raw. "He was supposed to, but he doesn't care. He never cared. He sent them to finish me." The rancher leaned against the frame, rifle steady. "You chose him." "Yes," she said, her eyes glistening. "And I was wrong." He almost laughed. "You made sure everyone knew what you thought of me. You made sure they heard it." "I was cruel," she admitted quickly, words tumbling. "I was stupid. But if you shut this door now, they'll cut me down before the sun rises." The sound of hooves carried faint across the hills, low but closing. Both of them froze. Her eyes widened. "Hear that? Please, please. They're close." His hand tightened around the shotgun. He remembered the way her laughter felt years ago, sharp as a blade. But he also remembered the way he once wanted her, the way her refusal left him hollow. Now she was shaking on his porch like a beaten stray. "They'll burn you too," she whispered. "If you let them take me, they'll still burn you. They wouldn't dare. They would. He owns them. He owns everyone." The hoofbeats grew louder, no longer distant. A dog barked somewhere beyond the fence. Her eyes darted left and right, wild. "Please," she begged again. "Don't let them see me here. Don't let them drag me back." The rancher lowered the gun a fraction. His voice dropped to a growl. "If I let you in, you follow my rules. No lies, no softness, no crying. I'll do anything," she whispered. "You work for it. You bleed for it. You stay till I say go." "Yes, yes I will." The hoofbeats slowed outside the gate. Lantern light bobbed in the distance. Both of them stood still, holding their breath. He looked at her one last time, at the dirt under her nails, the blood at her lip, the hollow behind her eyes. Then he pulled her inside. The door shut with a heavy thud. She collapsed against the wall, sliding down to the floor, hands over her face. Her breath came in ragged sobs. She tried to swallow. He stood over her, shotgun still in his grip. "Quiet." She forced herself still, pressing both palms flat against the boards to steady her shaking. Outside, men's voices carried, rough, muffled, searching. The hoofbeats circled, then drifted farther. The rancher stayed at the window, eyes on the dark. She crouched behind him, afraid even of her own breath. Finally, when the sounds faded, he turned. "You're staying in the barn." She lifted her head. "The barn. You asked for shelter. You got it?" "Not comfort." Her throat tightened. "I'll take it." "You'll work," he said again. "I said I would." He leaned closer, voice low. "One lie, and I drag you out myself." "I won't lie. You lied before." Her jaw trembled. "Not anymore." He watched her a long moment, then jerked his head toward the back. "Go." She pushed herself up, knees shaking, and followed him. Her steps creaked across the floorboards she once swore she'd never touch. He led her out to the barn, lantern swinging in his hand. The night was colder now, sharper, carrying the faint echo of men still searching down the road. Inside the barn smelled of hay and earth. He set the lantern on a beam and pointed. "Corner's yours. You touch nothing else." She nodded, hugging herself tight. "Thank you." "Don't thank me," he said. "I didn't do it for you." Her lips parted, but she didn't argue. She sank down into the hay, pulling her torn dress around her legs. He blew out the lantern, leaving her in the dark. The night pressed heavy. Every creak of wood sounded like footsteps, every gust of wind like a voice calling her name. She closed her eyes, but the darkness only deepened, and in that darkness, she could still hear the pounding that brought her back here, the pounding that might never stop. The barn smelled of hay and dust. She sat hunched in the corner, arms around her knees, every sound outside crawling across her skin. The rancher stood at the door, shotgun balanced against his shoulder, eyes fixed on her like she was no more than a trespasser. His silence burned worse than the cold. Finally, she spoke. "You don't understand. I can't go back out there. I understand plenty." His voice was flat. "You want my roof after spitting on my name?" Her chest rose sharp, words tumbling. "I was a fool. I thought I was better than this place. I thought he'd give me more than dirt and cattle." "You thought right," he snapped. "He gave you more. Gave you pain to match your pride." She flinched. "I don't need reminding." "Good. Saves me the trouble." Her eyes darted to the shotgun. "You'd hold that on me after all this?" He didn't lower it. "You think I'd trust a word from you? Not after the way you cut me down. I was young. You were cruel. I didn't mean you meant every word. Don't try to tell me different." She swallowed, her voice breaking softer. "If I did, I regret it now. Regret don't fix a damn thing." Her breath came quick. "If you shut me out, they'll kill me. Maybe that's justice to you, but I don't want to die on his terms." His jaw worked tight. "What makes you think I owe you anything?" "You don't," she said, sharp, desperate. "I'm not asking for debt. I'm asking for mercy." "Mercy?" He almost laughed, bitter. "Where was mercy when you stood on the porch of the saloon and told the whole street I wasn't worth the mud on your boots?" Her lips parted, but no words came. She remembered the laughter. She remembered his face that day, stone-hard while hers curled in pride. "I was wrong," she whispered. "You enjoyed it." Her voice rose, fierce now. "I was scared. You wanted me, and I didn't know what to do with that." I lashed out. "I thought choosing him would keep me safe." "Safe." His eyes narrowed. "And now you're running back to me." "Yes," she said, "because I've got nowhere else. Because I know you're not him. You're not like him." The silence stretched. He didn't move. She pressed on. "You think I don't see it now? I laughed at a man who worked, who bled, who stood alone, and I ran to a man who only took. I see it clear." The shotgun lowered slightly, though his grip stayed iron. "Too late for clear sight. Maybe, but not too late for me to live through the night." His gaze bore through her. "You think staying here saves you? It buys me time. It buys me hope." "You're using me again." Her voice cracked. "No, I'm begging." The words hung heavy. He finally leaned the shotgun against the wall, but kept his hand close. You want in this house. You pay in sweat. You work every hour you stay. No softness. No tears. You break one word. You're gone. She nodded quickly. Yes, anything. You don't speak unless spoken to. I'll stay quiet. You don't touch a thing that ain't yours. I won't. He studied her face. The dirt, the cracks, the broken pride. Then he stepped back. Barnes, all you get tonight. Her shoulders sagged. Thank you. Don't thank me, he muttered. You'll hate me for it soon enough. Her eyes glistened. I don't hate you. Not yet. The silence stretched again, broken only by the shifting boards above them. Somewhere outside, an owl called. The hoofbeats were gone, but the fear still lingered like smoke. She pulled her knees tighter, voice small. Do you believe me now? About what? That they'll come back. That they'll burn through you just to get me. His eyes flicked to the dark window. I believe they're fools if they try. You can't stand against him. You'd be surprised. Her gaze lingered on him, haunted. I was surprised once before. I don't want to be wrong again. He gave her nothing in return, only turned toward the door. She pressed her hand against the straw, forcing herself steady. Please, just till morning. He didn't face her. Morning don't change what you did. No, she whispered, but maybe it changes what I can do now. His hand paused on the door frame. For a long moment, he stayed there, shoulders stiff, shotgun within reach, the weight of years thick between them. Finally, without another word, he stepped out into the night. She sat alone in the barn, the cold pressing against her skin, her heartbeat loud in her ears. She didn't know if he'd left her to fate or if he'd stand guard outside. All she knew was, she had been let in, not forgiven, not welcomed, but not cast out, and that was enough for now. The barn was black with silence. Only the shifting of the horses and the scrape of straw filled the air. She sat curled against the wall, arms tight around herself, while he stood by the door, shotgun in hand, eyes cold and fixed on her. The night pressed close outside, heavy with waiting. She whispered, her voice raw. They're hunting me. You don't believe, but they are. He didn't turn. Who? You know who. Say it. Her throat closed, but she forced it. His men. The words cut through the dark. The rancher's jaw tightened, but his eyes stayed on the black window. You bring trouble to my land. I had nowhere else, she said quickly. You think I'd come here for comfort. I came here to live through tonight. You're good at turning your shame into my burden. Her hands dug into her dress. Do you hear yourself? You'd rather watch me die than believe I've changed. He finally looked at her, face shadowed. Maybe you don't deserve another chance. Before she could answer, the faint rumble came. Low, at first, almost imagined. Then clearer. Hooves, striking earth, in rhythm, carrying across the dark. Her eyes widened. Do you hear it? He froze, head tilted. The sound grew horses, more than one, riding fast, closing in. She stood, trembling. I told you. They'll burn through you, just to get to me. The rancher cursed under his breath. Damn you for dragging this here. You think I wanted this? She cried. You think I planned to be hunted? He raised the shotgun, moving to the door. Stay quiet. Her voice shook. You can't face them alone. Watch me. The hoofbeats grew louder, circling, drawing near. Lantern light flickered faint in the distance, swinging between the trees. They'll kill you, she whispered. They'll try. She stepped forward, desperate. Please, don't fight them out there. Let me in the house. Give me walls between me and them. He didn't look at her. You think hiding in my rooms makes you safe? It's better than this, please. The horses slowed, voices carrying now, men shouting, searching. The rancher cursed again, fierce, low. He lowered the shotgun a fraction. If I let you in, You follow my word. No arguing. No wandering. You cross me once, I throw you back to them. She nodded fast. Yes, anything. His glare lingered on her, burning with old betrayal. Then he pushed the door open. Go, she hurried, clutching her dress, stumbling across the yard. The rancher followed, gun ready, eyes on the shadows. The men's voices echoed faint across the hills, closer now. Inside the house, the dark smelled of wood and smoke. He bolted the door behind them. She pressed herself against the wall, breathing hard, while he watched the window. They'll come here, she whispered. I know. They won't leave until they've searched. Then let them try. Her voice cracked. You don't understand him. He won't stop. I don't stop either. The silence swelled, broken only by the distant shouts outside. Lantern light bobbed again, closer now, casting shadows against the yard. She whispered, if they find me here, they won't. He cut her off. You don't know that? I know enough. Her eyes welled. Why are you doing this? You could have turned me away. He kept watching the window, voice hard. Maybe I wanted to, but you didn't. No? She swallowed. Then part of you still cares. His grip on the shotgun tightened. Don't mistake duty for care. Her voice broke into a whisper. Even duty can save a life. Outside, hooves slowed. A voice rang out, sharp. House is lit. Someone's in there. The rancher raised the gun. His jaw set. Her breath caught. What will you do? What I always do, he said. They'll burn it down. They'll try fire. I'll answer lead. Her hand reached toward him, but fell short. I never thought I'd stand behind you like this. You don't stand behind me, he snapped. You stay hidden. Don't move. Don't speak. Her whisper was ragged. And if they break through, then you pray I'm faster. The men outside dismounted, boots crunching gravel. Shadows crossed the yard. The knock came, hard and bold, rattling the door. The rancher stood silent, gun raised. She pressed against the wall, heart hammering. Another voice outside. We're looking for a woman. Don't make us come in. She clenched her eyes shut, whispering, please. The rancher breathed slow, steady. Then he muttered under his breath, almost too low for her to hear. Damn you. Damn us both. He lowered the shotgun just enough to move, stepping toward her. His eyes locked on hers, fierce. Stay down. Stay silent. Whatever you hear. She nodded, trembling. The pounding came again. The rancher stood in the dark house, shotgun ready, shadows cutting across his face. He had led her inside, against judgment, against memory, against the wound she had carved in him years before. Now the riders were here, and the night had no mercy left. The pounding on the door stopped. Boots scraped across the porch, then silence, thick and waiting. The rancher held still, shotgun aimed at the wood. She crouched low against the wall, knees pulled tight, breathing so shallow she could barely hear herself. The voices outside muttered, fading back toward the yard. Lantern light drifted away, then circled, then returned. They were testing, probing, hunting. The storm above rumbled, slow and heavy. Inside, the air clung thick between them. She looked up at him, voice barely a whisper. They'll come back. He didn't answer. His eyes stayed locked on the door. They won't leave without me, she said. I know. Her throat tightened. Then what now? The shotgun lowered just slightly, enough to break the frozen moment. He turned to her, his voice rough. Now we make terms. She blinked. Terms? You want my roof. You play by my word. That's the only way this holds. Her lips parted, but he cut her off before she could speak. No lies, he said flat. No pity. No promises I didn't ask for. You twist once, you're out that door. Her voice shook. I didn't come here to trick you. You came here because you're hunted. Don't make me think it's for anything else. She swallowed hard, nodding. Fine. No lies. His eyes narrowed. And no pity. Not for me. Not for yourself. I won't stomach it. She frowned. Pity. You look at me with those sorry eyes, thinking what I lost, what I never had. Don't. I'll throw you out faster than them riders. Her voice cracked. I'm not sorry for you. Good. Keep it that way. Her hands twisted in her dress. What about promises? You don't make promises in this house. Not to me. Not to yourself. Words don't heal. They rot. Her breath hitched. Then what do I give you? Silence when I need it. Obedience when I demand it. That's all. She clenched her jaw, fighting the sting in her chest. And in return, his voice was stone. In return, you breathe past tonight. The words hung heavy. Rain began to tap against the window. Steady, cold, she whispered. That's a cruel bargain. It's the only one on offer. Her eyes glistened, but she nodded. Then I take it. His gaze lingered, searching her face for weakness, for trickery. She held his stare, choking down the pride that burned her throat. He finally turned back to the door, shotgun steady. Good, then it's settled. The silence stretched, broken only by the storm outside. Wind rattled the shutters, horses shifted in the barn. The voices of the riders drifted again, faint, circling. She dared to speak. Do you think they'll break in? If they do, they'll meet me first. Her voice trembled. And if they're too many, then you pray they're not. She hugged herself tighter. You make it sound so simple. It is. Live or die. It always was. Her breath came sharp. You talk like nothing matters to you. He turned his head, eyes cold. Everything matters. That's why I keep it simple. She looked down, ashamed of the weight between them. The fire on the hearth gave no warmth, only light that carved their shadows against the walls. You hate me, she whispered. He didn't answer. You've hated me since the day I laughed at you. Still silence. Her voice cracked again. Say it. He finally spoke, low and sharp. I don't waste hate. You're not worth that. The words struck harder than any hand. She flinched, biting her lip to keep from crying out. He watched her, face hard. Don't mistake letting you in for forgiveness. This house isn't mercy. It's survival. Her throat closed. And what if I earn more than survival? You won't. The storm cracked above them, thunder rolling across the land. For a moment it swallowed all sound, shaking the windows, pressing the walls. When it passed, the silence returned, heavier than before. She spoke again, softer this time. You think I can't change? You think I'll always be what I was? He answered quick. You think I care if you change? That's your business. Mine is keeping this land clean. Tonight, you're the dirt tracked inside. Don't make me regret sparing the broom. Her lips trembled, but she forced her chin up. I'll prove you wrong. I told you no promises. Then watch me without expecting. He turned back to the window. That's the only way I'll ever watch. The storm pushed harder against the house. Wind howled down the chimney. Rain hissed across the yard. The riders' voices lifted faint again. Shadows moving just beyond sight. She stayed against the wall, staring at the man she once mocked. He stood rigid, guarding a door that could betray them both. In the charged air, no word could bridge the gulf. The deal was struck, carved into silence, and every breath carried its weight. Morning came gray, without warmth. The storm had passed, but the ground outside was drowned in mud, the yard heavy with silence. He pushed the door open and stepped onto the porch. She followed, slower, her dress stained from the night before. The ranch looked worn, like its owner. Fences sagged, boards warped, the barn leaning against the weight of years. He didn't speak at first. He only pointed toward the water trough. She frowned. You mean me? He didn't look at her. You want shelter? You work. Her breath caught. After last night, he cut her off. After last night, you're still here. That's all it bought you. She stared at him, trembling with anger and shame. But she walked to the trough, rolled up her sleeves, and hauled the bucket. The pump groaned as she pulled. Water spilled, splashing her skirt. Her hand slipped, rough against the iron. He stood watching, leaning on the post, arms crossed. She hissed, "You could help." "I could, but you won't. Not my work. It's yours now." Her jaw tightened. "You enjoy this?" "No," he said flat. "I just don't forget." The bucket filled. She dragged it, heavy and spilling, to the trough. Her arms ached. Her palms rubbed raw against the handle. He spoke again, cold. "That banker of yours ever see you like this? Hands bleeding, skirt ruined." She dropped the bucket, glaring. Don't. What? Don't speak his name here." His eyes narrowed. "Why not? He's the reason you're crawling in mud now. He's the reason they're hunting you." Her voice rose. "You think I don't know that? I think you lived blind long enough." The air cracked between them. She turned back to the pump, forcing herself to keep working. Her fingers slipped again. Blood beaded along her knuckles. He walked toward the barn, speaking without turning. "Feed the stock when you're done. They're hungrier than you." Her teeth clenched. "You talk like I'm dirt under your boot." He stopped, hand on the barn door. "You put yourself there." She froze. His words struck like stones. She wanted to scream, but no voice came. Instead, she bent, grabbed the bucket, and dragged it to the stalls. Inside the barn, the air was thick with hay and dust. Horses shifted, stamping hooves, snorting in the dim light. She poured the water into their trough, chest heaving. He leaned on the gate, watching. His silence cut deeper than his words. She finally spoke, her voice ragged. "Say it. Say what you think of me." His eyes stayed on the horses. "I don't think of you." She threw the bucket down, the clang echoing. "Liar." He looked at her then, sharp and steady. "You want truth? Truth is, you're standing in the only place that'll keep you breathing. And you hate it because I hold the door." Her lip trembled. "And you love it." "No," he said again, quieter. "I just remember." She turned away, pressing her palms against the stall. The horses flicked their ears, restless at the tension in the air. Her voice dropped. "You're cruel. You're soft," he answered. "Soft gets people killed." Her throat burned. "You don't know me. I knew enough when you laughed. That was all I needed." Tears stung, but she bit them back. She picked up hay, scattering it for the horses, forcing her hands to move, though her skin tore. Blood smeared against the straw. He stepped closer, his voice low. "You think work's beneath you? That's why it hurts so much." Her chest heaved. "It hurts because you watch me bleed and don't care. I care enough to keep you alive." That's more than he ever did. The words cut sharper than his silence. She froze, hay spilling from her fingers. She whispered, "Why do you hate me so much?" He leaned back, arms crossed. "Because I remember when you could have stayed. You chose him. Now you bring his trouble to my door." Her breath shook. "I was young. I thought you thought money meant safety." She closed her eyes, voice breaking. "And now I know better." He said nothing. She turned, face streaked with dirt and sweat. "Will that ever be enough for you? Knowing I was wrong?" His jaw tightened. "It's not about me. Then who's it about?" He looked past her, out the barn window, to the hills where riders might still linger. His silence answered more than words. Her shoulders slumped. She bent again, scattering hay, feeding the stock until her arms shook. Every movement scraped at old pride. Every drop of blood proof she was no longer untouchable. When the work was done, she leaned against the stall, chest rising heavy. He walked past her, slow, steady, his shadow falling long. She whispered, "Why did you really let me in?" He paused at the door. "Because no matter how much I remember, I'm not like him." Her throat tightened, words failing. He left the barn, boots crunching on wet earth. She stayed inside, alone with the horses and the sting in her hands. The silence of the barn pressed close, broken only by the steady sound of animals chewing, breathing, alive. She looked down at her palms, skin torn, blood smeared against dirt. It wasn't the pain that hollowed her chest. It was the knowing that his silence would always cut deeper than her wounds. Dawn broke pale and cold. The yard lay quiet, fog clinging low, the barn still smelling of hay and sweat. She stood on the porch, her palms bandaged in strips of cloth. He was already outside, boots sinking in damp soil, scanning the tree line like a man waiting for something he wished wouldn't come. Hooves cut through the fog. One rider, steady, deliberate. A sheriff's star flashed against the rising sun. His coat was black, his eyes darker. He dismounted slow, spurs biting into the earth, the weight of the badge shining on his chest. The rancher's jaw set. He didn't move. The sheriff tipped his hat. Morning. The rancher's voice was flat. You're early. Law doesn't sleep. Neither do snakes. The sheriff smirked. You've got a mouth on you, same as always. His eyes slid past him to the porch, where she stood stiff, gripping the rail. There she is. Saved me the trouble of hunting. Her breath caught, but she stayed silent. The rancher stepped into his line of sight. She's not yours to take. The sheriff's voice hardened. She's wanted. You know it. Harboring her makes you guilty too. She's wanted by men, not by law. I wear the badge. I am the law. You wear it like a thief wears stolen boots. The sheriff's smile thinned. Careful. You're already standing on the edge. She whispered. Please. The rancher cut her off. Go inside. Her hands gripped the rail tighter. I won't hide. Inside, he said again, sharper. The sheriff laughed. Let her stay. Makes it easier. Hand her over, and maybe I walk away without burning this place down. The rancher's shoulders stiffened. You're not taking her. Silence stretched. Birds scattered from the trees. The sheriff's hand brushed the butt of his revolver. Don't be a fool. I've been one before. Not today. You'll die for her. After what she did, I'll live with myself if I don't. The sheriff spat in the dirt. You always were soft. The rancher's eyes narrowed. And you always were rotten. Their words cracked like gunfire. She stood frozen, her breath sharp in the cold air. The sheriff turned toward her, voice slick. He's willing to die for you. Would you do the same for him? She held his gaze, throat dry. I already have. The sheriff chuckled, low and bitter. Then you're both fools. The rancher stepped forward. Leave. Not without her. She stays. You think you can stop me? I know I can. The sheriff studied him, jaw grinding. One word from me and riders will be here before nightfall. You can't stand against all of us. I'll stand long enough. You're outnumbered. Always have been. The air thickened, charged with the weight of choices too long delayed. The sheriff's eyes narrowed. Last chance. Hand her over. The rancher's voice cut sharp. No. The word cracked through the fog like a shot. The sheriff's hand twitched, his thumb easing back the hammer of his revolver. The rancher's own hand hovered near his holster, steady, unshaken. She whispered, Don't. Neither moved. Their eyes locked. Two men bound by history, darker than the dawn around them. The sheriff's smirk returned, but his voice carried steel. Then blood it is. The standoff burned slow, each breath thick as smoke. She pressed the hand to her chest, torn between fear and fury. The rancher spoke first, voice low. You were never law. Just another hired hand in a badge. The sheriff sneered. And you were never more than dirt with a fence. Dirt doesn't rot. Men like you do. The sheriff's patience broke. His gun cleared leather, but the rancher moved with him, both weapons drawn in the same heartbeat. The sound cracked through the yard. sharp and final. The sheriff's bullet ripped bark from the porch rail beside her. The rancher's shot dug into the sheriff's coat, tearing fabric, grazing flesh. The sheriff staggered back, teeth bared. "You'll regret that." The rancher's gun stayed steady, already due. Blood spread across the sheriff's side, but he stood tall, rage lighting his eyes. "This isn't over. It is here. You'll never hold them off. They'll come for you, for her, for everything you built." The rancher's face was stone. "Let them come." The sheriff spat blood, mounting his horse with a wince. "You've chosen your grave, and you've chosen your shame." The horse pawed the dirt, eager to leave. The sheriff glared at her one last time. "He won't save you when the fire takes this place." Her voice cut sharp. "Better him than you." The sheriff's eyes narrowed, cold with promise. Then he spurred his horse and rode off into the fog, leaving dust and silence behind. The rancher lowered his gun, shoulders heavy. She rushed forward, voice shaking. "You shouldn't have done that. I had to. He'll bring more. I know. You can't fight them all. I'll fight what comes." Her breath broke. "For me." He looked at her, eyes hard, voice rough. "For this place. For what's right. And maybe for you, too." Tears filled her eyes, but she held them back. She touched his arm, bandaged hands trembling. "Then I'll fight with you." He studied her, silent. Then he nodded once. The fog lifted a little, sunlight breaking through. The yard smelled of gunpowder and damp earth. The sound of the sheriff's retreat faded into the hills, but his shadow lingered. They both knew it was only the beginning. Inside the barn, horses shifted, restless, sensing the storm still ahead. She stood close beside him, her breath unsteady, but firm. He holstered his gun, eyes on the horizon, waiting for the riders that would surely come. Neither spoke again. The silence was heavier than words, binding them tighter than promises. The morning air still held the damp weight of fog, but it was thinner now, peeling back to reveal the wide yard and the wooden gate at the road. The sheriff's warning clung in both their minds. He had promised riders, and the sound came sooner than either wished. Hooves, more than one, steel on leather. Men who carried orders in their holsters, not in their hearts. The rancher stood in the yard, gun ready, shoulders squared. She hovered near the porch, shaking though she tried to steady herself. The gate creaked as two riders slowed their horses. Dust lifted around them. One spat into the dirt, the other grinned like a man who already tasted blood. The rancher's voice cut flat. "Turn back." The first rider laughed. "Not likely. You're trespassing. We're collecting, not here." The second rider leaned forward in his saddle. "She's coming with us." "She's not." They looked at her, pale against the porch rail. She gripped it, like it was the only thing holding her upright. The first rider spat again. "Ain't her choice. Ain't yours either." The rancher raised his revolver. "Last warning." The second rider smirked. "You won't shoot." The rancher's hand tightened. "Try me." The first rider moved fast, hand to his holster. The crack split, the air sharp, louder than the morning birds. His body jerked back, boots sliding from the stirrups. He hit the dirt with a thud that carried finality. The second rider froze, gun half drawn. His eyes widened at his fallen partner. He swallowed. "You just made a grave mistake." The rancher's voice was ice. So did he. The man cursed, firing from the saddle. Wood splintered from the porch rail. She flinched, covering her head. The rancher dropped low, firing back. The horse screamed, rearing, throwing the rider hard into the dirt. His gun tumbled from his grasp. He groaned, clutching his side, crawling in the dust. His fingers stretched for the weapon. The rancher strode forward, revolver aimed, steps heavy. She followed without thinking, her breath shallow, heart hammering. The man rolled to his back, face twisted with pain and rage. The rancher pressed a boot to the man's wrist, keeping the gun out of reach. You should have turned back. The rider spat blood. He'll send more. You can't stop them all. Maybe not, the man sneered. She'll beg before the end. Her chest burned. The words struck harder than the gunfire. She bent down, trembling, eyes locked on him. Her voice was barely a whisper. Say it again. He grinned through blood. You're nothing. Just a mark. Just another body for the dirt. Her hand moved before she could think. She grabbed the fallen revolver, the metal cold, heavy, alive in her grip. The rancher's eyes widened, but he didn't stop her. The man's grin faltered. You won't. The shot tore through the air, point blank, burning final. His body went still, dust settling around him. Her hand shook, the revolver slipping from her grasp. She staggered back, eyes wide, breath ragged. The rancher stepped closer, voice steady. It's done. Her knees buckled, and she dropped to the dirt. Blood smeared her bandages, but she didn't notice. Her gaze locked on the body, on the blood pooling dark beneath him. Her whisper broke the silence. I killed him. The rancher crouched beside her. He gave you no choice. Her head shook violently. No, I did. I pulled the trigger. You had too. Her voice cracked. Doesn't make it easier. He looked at her, firm. It's supposed to be hard. If it wasn't, you'd already be lost. She pressed her bandaged hands to her face, shaking. I can't breathe. Breathe anyway. Her breaths came shallow, uneven. Tears cut through the dirt on her cheeks. It's never leaving me. It shouldn't. She lowered her hands, staring at him. How do you live with it? By knowing who deserved it. Her eyes flicked to the dead man. He deserved it. Yes. Her voice hardened. So do the rest. The rancher studied her, something shifting in his gaze. He offered his hand. She took it, trembling, and he pulled her to her feet. The bodies lay in the dirt, the gate half open, horses restless and stamping. The fog had burned away, leaving the yard stark and raw. Blood stained the soil, bright against the pale morning light. She wiped her face with shaking hands, forcing herself upright. Her voice came low, unsteady, but sure. They'll keep coming. He nodded. Yes, they'll kill us both. Maybe, then we fight. He looked at her, long and hard. You sure? Her eyes flicked back to the dead men. The memory of the shot still echoed in her bones, but she didn't flinch. I'm sure. The rancher's jaw tightened, but he gave a single nod. Then we fight. Silence stretched between them, heavier than before. The smell of gunpowder lingered, sharp and bitter. Crows circled high, their cries echoing across the hills. She turned back to the bodies, her voice quiet. What do we do with them? Bury them. Here. Where else? She swallowed hard. And when more come. He holstered his gun. Then we'll give them graves too. Her stomach twisted, but she nodded. The fear hadn't gone, but something else had risen in its place, something colder. Sharper dot. The rancher walked toward the barn to fetch a shovel. She stayed by the bodies, staring down at the man she had killed. His face was slack now, all fury gone, all power stripped. Just another man in the dirt. Her hands still trembled, but her voice was firm when she whispered to herself. Never again on my knees. The words hung in the morning air, harsher than the crows, sharper than the silence. When the rancher returned, she met his eyes. He didn't speak, but he didn't have to. They both knew the gate was no longer a line of defense. It was a marker, soaked with blood. And beyond it rode the future they couldn't avoid. Together, they dug. The fire in the hearth crackled, sending shadows leaping across the walls of the cabin. She sat close to the embers, hands clasped around her knees, staring into the orange glow. He stood near the doorway, arms crossed, shoulders stiff, watching her more than the flames. Silence had stretched long between them after the morning's blood. It pressed heavy, almost as thick as the smoke curling toward the ceiling. She whispered, "I need to tell you something." He didn't move. "Go on." Her voice shook. "It's about him, the one you know I left behind." He stepped closer, boots crunching on the wooden floor. "The banker." "Yes, and I didn't leave because I loved him." She bit her lip, eyes brimming. I was a fool. He wanted to hurt you. He used me to make you see what I had, what you lost." His jaw tightened, eyes narrowing into the dark corners of the room. He didn't speak. The fire reflected in his gaze, making it hard to tell if it was anger or something heavier. She swallowed hard. I thought being with him would make me safe, rich, untouchable. But it was never about me. It was about hurting you." He finally moved, standing behind her now, close but silent. She could feel the weight of him, the history of laughter and rejection and pain pressing down. "You knew," she whispered, voice breaking. "I suspected. You did." His shoulders slumped slightly, and for a moment his hard edge cracked. "I didn't want to." Tears slipped down her cheeks. "I never meant to. I never wanted him to hurt you. I thought I was choosing the better life, and it brought him straight to our door," he said quietly. His voice wasn't loud, but it carried. "You think that makes it easier?" "No." She shook her head. "It makes it worse. Knowing I walked into his plan, knowing I played a part in it." He moved closer, the firelight tracing lines across his face. "You're still here," I begged. She admitted. "I begged you to let me stay, to keep me alive, and I hated myself for it. I remembered every cruel thing I said, every laugh, every look I gave you, and I still begged." He didn't answer right away. His hands hung at his sides. He looked down at the floor, at the shadows dancing, at the memory-soaked walls. Then, voice low, tight, almost strangled, "Do you have any idea how it feels to watch the woman you loved, the one you'd have done anything for, be used to cut you?" Her hands clenched around her knees. "I do, and I'm sorry. I can't take it back. But I need you to know. It wasn't about me wanting him. It was never about me." He shook his head slowly, jaw tight, fingers curling at his sides. "You were always stubborn and foolish." She laughed, bitter and quiet. "Stubborn, yes. Foolish, yes. I've learned that the hard way." He looked at her then, really looked, and the firelight caught in his eyes, making them glimmer with something she hadn't seen before. Grief, not just anger, not just rage, a hollowing grief that left space for everything else to settle. "I hated him," she admitted. "I hated what he made me do, what he made me feel, and I hated myself even more." "I can see that," he said, voice breaking just enough for her to catch it. "I can see that now." She swallowed. "You think it changes anything?" He shook his head. "No, but it matters. That you see it, that you feel it. It's something, even if it's small." The fire popped, sending a spark into the air. She watched it, quiet, chest tight. "I don't deserve you," she said. "Don't talk like that," he replied. "You earned the right to be alive tonight. That's enough for now." "I killed today," she whispered, "and tomorrow, who knows?" He looked at her, jaw tight again, and she saw the line between anger and grief blur. "You did what you had to, but it's not over," she said, voice low. "More will come. He won't stop. His men won't stop." "No." His voice was steady, but tired. "And we'll be ready." She shifted closer to the fire. "I never wanted this life. I never wanted to be someone who kills or hides or feels fear like this." He knelt beside her now. "None of us did. But life doesn't give choices like that. I betrayed you," she said quietly, eyes downcast. "And I—" He laid a hand on her shoulder. "Stop. You're here. That's what matters. You didn't betray yourself. You just survived. That's enough." Her lips trembled. It doesn't feel enough. I know, he said softly. But feeling it doesn't make it any less true. You're alive. We're alive. That fire outside, the riders, the blood. We faced it. Together. Tears streaked her cheeks again. I've never felt so scared, or so small. You're not small, he said. You're alive. You're stubborn. You're stronger than you think. And for the first time, I'm seeing that strength instead of my own rage. She met his eyes. Do you forgive me? He didn't answer immediately. The fire reflected in his eyes, long shadows stretching across his face. Then he nodded once, slow, deliberate. I can. Not for him. Not for what's come before, but for you. For now, and maybe for what's ahead. She exhaled, long and quiet, letting herself sink into the warmth of the fire, the weight of his hand, the fragile tether of their connection. Silence filled the cabin, but it was no longer heavy. It was quiet and steady, a pause, a small reprieve. The storm outside lingered, distant, but inside. The firelight danced between them, casting shadows that didn't hurt, and truths that, finally, were shared. The cabin smelled of ash and smoke from the dying fire, lingering in the corners, clinging to the rafters. She moved slowly, her fingers brushing along the wooden shelf, the worn edges of crates, the faint traces of dust disturbed by footsteps long ago. Her eyes caught a small bundle tucked behind a loose floorboard. She knelt, tugging it free. Old papers, tied with a fraying ribbon, fragile in her hands. What is it? He asked, voice low, cautious. Letters, she whispered. Mine. From years ago, he frowned, leaning over her shoulder, eyes narrowing. Yours. Yes. Her hands shook as she untied the ribbon, revealing neat, careful handwriting. Words she barely remembered writing, words she had buried in shame. The ink had faded, but the sentiment burned through it, raw and trembling. Read them, he said softly, almost a command. She did, voice breaking as she spoke the words aloud. I'm sorry I laughed at you. I'm sorry I walked away. I thought I was strong, but I was cowardly. I thought I was clever, but I was cruel. His jaw tightened, and he said nothing. Letting her continue. I wanted to be loved, and I sought it in the wrong arms. I wanted to be seen, and I blinded myself to you. I fear what I have done, and I fear what I may yet do. Forgive me, if you can. She swallowed, eyes brimming. I never sent them. I never could. He knelt beside her now, hand hovering over hers, not touching yet. You wrote all this, and never showed it. I was too proud, too scared, she admitted. I wanted to mean something to you. I wanted you to see the real me, not the mask I wore. But I was too weak to be honest. His eyes were dark, reflecting the embers in the hearth. And now, she whispered, I am here, and I am asking you to believe me. The words hung between them, heavy, fragile. The fire crackled, a small comfort in the oppressive quiet. He exhaled slowly. You don't know how long I've waited for this, for you to speak it, even to yourself. Tears ran down her cheeks, smudging the inked words. I never thought I would survive my choices. I never thought I could face you again without shame crushing me. He reached out then, finally, his fingers brushing the edges of the letters. Shame doesn't get to own you, not anymore. It's just paper and ink, and you're here. She looked up at him, her voice trembling. I killed for you. I've seen blood today I never imagined I would see. I held a gun, I pulled the trigger, and I lived. But this is worse. These letters, these words, they carry all the weight I've been running from. He studied her, eyes sharp but softening. And now you've laid them down, on the table, for me, for us. That's stronger than any gunfire, stronger than any fight. Her laugh was short, bitter, stronger. I feel broken. No, he said firmly. You're unafraid to face what you've done and what you've felt. That's strength. Most people never dare. She swallowed, shaking her head. I thought I was clever. I thought hiding them, burying them, would protect us both. But it only made me weaker. Only made me hide from myself. Then it was time, he said. Time to let it surface. Her voice was barely a whisper. Do you hate me? He exhaled, jaw tight. I hated the choices you made. I hated the pain they caused. But I never hated you. Not truly. Her eyes widened, glistening in the firelight. Then, maybe there's a chance. He nodded slowly. Maybe, but it won't be easy. Words can't undo everything. They can't erase the blood, the fear, the nights we've spent waiting for the other shoe to fall. But it's a start. She picked up one of the letters, tracing the letters with a trembling finger. I wrote about my shame. I wrote about my regret. I wrote about wishing I could be different, wishing I could be worthy of you. You are, he said quietly, not because of what you wrote or didn't write, but because you survived, because you came back, because you're here now. Her hands dropped the letter. It feels like I'm still running, like the blood on my hands will never leave me. No, he said, it won't, but it can stop ruling you. You can stop running if you choose to. She let out a long breath, closing her eyes. I don't know if I have the courage for that. You've faced worse, he reminded her. Men with guns, betrayal, death at the gate. You survived. You've faced yourself. That's courage enough. Tears streaked her cheeks, but a faint smile touched her lips. I wrote them hoping one day you'd see me, the real me, and maybe forgive me. I didn't think that day would come. I didn't think I'd get to speak them aloud to you. He moved closer, finally placing his hand on hers. And now you have. That day came, and I forgive you. Not because it's easy, but because it's honest. Because it matters more than anything else. Her fingers trembled under his. Heat from the fire mixing with the cold shock of relief. I never thought I'd hear that. Never thought I could hear it without fear of judgment. You can, he said. You can hear it. And you can speak your truth, always. The letters lay on the floor between them, pages curling slightly from the heat. Words unspoken for years had finally breathed. And the silence that followed carried no weight of shame, only possibility. Her voice was quiet, almost reverent. I don't want to hide anymore. Not from you. Not from myself. You won't have to, he said. Not anymore. That door closed the moment you stepped in. You faced your fear. You faced me. That's all that matters. She exhaled, letting herself sink to the floor beside the letters, feeling the weight of years lift, however slightly. They didn't erase the past, but for the first time, the letters no longer crushed her. They carried her story, and she could finally stand beside it. And beside him, the sound of hooves rattled the fences outside. Dust rose like smoke in the fading light. They could hear men shouting orders beyond the tree line, low voices carrying over the dry wind. Inside the cabin, the fire cast flickering shadows across walls lined with old tools, crates, and the faint scent of leather and sweat. She slammed the bucket down, water splashing across the floor. They're here, she said, voice sharp, eyes wide. I know, he replied, checking the windows, gun resting on the sill. Don't panic. I'm not panicking, she snapped, shaking. We're trapped, and we're sitting here talking about calm. He turned to face her, jaw tight. Then tell me what you want to do. She laughed bitterly. We can't fight them all. We're outnumbered. You don't know that, he said. We've survived worse. She shot back. Do you remember the men at the gate? The blood, the screams. Yes, I remember, he said, voice low but hard. But they're outside now, and we're inside. That counts for something. She dropped onto the floor, fists gripping her knees. Something doesn't feel like enough. He knelt beside her. Then don't just sit there. Help me. Move. Think. Her eyes darted to the letters they'd left on the floor earlier, the fragile remnants of past regrets. I'm trying. God, I'm trying. But every plan I make feels like it's already failing. Then plan better, he said bluntly. We don't have the luxury of hesitation. I can't plan against men with guns and fire in their eyes. Then we make them hesitate, he said. We use the ground we know, the traps we set, the corners and shadows. You think you're weak. You're not. You've faced death. You've pulled triggers you never imagined. You know how to survive. She laughed, short, dry, and bitter. I don't feel like a survivor. I feel like a scared girl hiding in a cabin that's going to burn down around her. He shook his head, voice softening but firm. Good. Use it. Fear sharpens you. Pride blinds them. Anger drives me, drives you. But trust is what will keep us alive, and we need it now. She looked at him, eyes searching, throat tight. Trust. Yes, trust. You trust me to protect you. I trust you to fight beside me. That's the only way this ends without more blood than necessary. Her hands trembled. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I want to. You don't have a choice, he said bluntly. You want to live? You fight. You trust me. That's it. No speeches, no regrets, no hesitation. Do you understand? She swallowed, nodding slowly. I understand. Good. His eyes swept the cabin, checking every shadow, every corner. They're coming closer. We need positions. Positions, she repeated. We don't have positions. We have a cabin and a couple of old rifles. That's enough if we're smart. He moved to the back, checking the floorboards, the walls. You take the windows. I'll cover the door. If they get in, we fall back to the barn. Understood? She nodded again, chest tight. Understood. He handed her a rifle, the wood worn smooth from years of use. Hold it like you mean it. Aim where it hurts. I've never done this before, she admitted, hands gripping the stock. Neither have I, he said, voice low, but we do it anyway. Outside, the shouts grew louder. The sound of hooves kicked up dust and gravel. The first flashes of gunfire sparked in the distance, faint but sharp in the ears. They're scouting, she whispered, voice trembling. They'll know we're ready. Let them, he replied. If they think we're weak, they'll rush. If they think we're ready. Hesitation works in our favor. She raised the rifle, sighting along the barrel. I hate this. I hate everything about this. Good, he said. Let it fuel you. Anger, fear, hatred, all of it. Use it. She exhaled, pulling the trigger. A distant scream answered, echoing off the hills. Her hands shook, but her aim was true. They're closer, she shouted. Too close. He moved to the door, gun steady. Then we show them we're not afraid. The cabin door rattled. He fired once, and a man fell back, groaning. She reloaded quickly, eyes wide, heart hammering. I killed one, she said, voice raw. I know, he replied, jaw tight. Keep moving. Keep shooting if you have to. A second man tried the window. She fired. He fell, slumping against the wall outside. 2 down, she whispered, chest heaving. 3 more coming, he shouted. Stay sharp. Their voices mingled with the sounds outside, hooves, shouts, gunfire. She felt her heart pound, every nerve alive, every muscle tensed. Fear and adrenaline collided, raw and chaotic, but beneath it, a strange clarity. Stay with me, he shouted. I am, she yelled back. I won't leave you. I won't leave you. He fired again, forcing a man to fall into the dirt. The fire flickered, casting long shadows across the walls. Dust and smoke filled the air, thick and choking, but the rhythm of their movements matched, sharp and precise. Every glance, every word, every breath synchronized in a dance of survival. "You trust me?" he asked, almost quietly, over the din. "Yes," she said, voice shaking. "I trust you." "Good," he said, jaw-tight eyes scanning the cabin. "Trust me to get us through this." A pause, brief but heavy. Outside, the riders regrouped, calling to each other, confused, hesitant. Inside, they breathed together, guns ready, hearts racing, eyes locked. The cabin was small, the shadows deep, the fire low, but inside, they were a fortress. Not of wood or stone, but of anger, fear, trust, and the raw refusal to fall. She aimed, fired again. He fired. The sounds outside faltered. The circle tightened. Yes, but inside, the bond between them solidified, forged in adrenaline, fire, and blood. Pride and fear collided, and gave way to an unspoken understanding. They survived together, or not at all, and in that moment, amid smoke shadows, and the echo of distant hooves, the last wall between them broke. They didn't speak the words, didn't need to. The fight, the fear, the trust, and the fire said it all. The night was torn open by gunfire. Sparks lit the edges of the trees, smoke curling low across the dirt. Shadows moved fast, impossible to track. They were outnumbered, outgunned, but they were together. She fired from the window, elbow braced on the sill, teeth gritted. Every pull of the trigger burned her shoulder, but she didn't stop. He dropped low behind the doorframe, then rose, shot, ducked again. His hand steady even as his heart thumped in his chest. "They're flanking left," she shouted. "I see them," he called back. "Cover me." She reloaded fast, trembling hands gripping the rifle like a lifeline. "I can't, there's too many." "Then aim for the closest. Make it count." A man fell in the dirt, screaming, clutching a wound. Another tried to climb through the broken fence. She shot. The sound echoed, sharp and final. "They keep coming," she yelled. "I know." He roared. "Don't stop. Not for a second." The fire in the corner of the cabin reflected in her eyes. Sweat mixed with blood, a cut on her cheek burning. She didn't feel it. She didn't feel anything except survival, sharp and raw. "There at the barn," she warned, voice strained. "Good," he said, voice tight. "Let them come. Let them see we're not afraid." Outside, shadows shifted. Boots thudded on the dry ground. Horses stamped and whinnied. Screams pierced the smoke. She counted bodies as they fell, hands shaking, lungs burning. "Move to the left," he barked, reloading. "Watch the fence line." She obeyed, rolling behind a stack of crates. Her breath came in ragged gasps. "I can't." "Yes, you can," he snapped. "I'm right here. Keep your eyes open. Focus." A man leaped over the crate. She raised the rifle and fired. He hit the ground with a thud, groaning. "You're bleeding," he shouted, eyes scanning. "I don't care," she hissed. "I don't care if I die out here." "You're not dying." He grabbed her shoulder, yanking her down. "Not while I breathe." A flare of movement. Two men broke through the side gate. He fired, dropping one. She shot the other. Blood splattered against the wood. She dropped to her knees, panting, hands shaking. "Keep going," he yelled. "Reload, aim, fire." The smoke thickened, the air burning in their lungs. Every scream, every shot sharpened their senses. Time slowed, then snapped forward in violent bursts. "They're inside," she screamed. He moved to intercept, fists swinging, gun ready. They collided with men in the cabin, bodies crashing against walls. The fight was brutal, physical, no room for hesitation. She swung, kicked, shot. He parried, fired, grabbed, slammed. Every move was survival, instinct, rage. "Watch out," she yelled as a man swung a knife. He ducked, countering with the butt of his rifle. The knife clattered across the floor. She kicked the attacker down, pinning him with her boot. "You okay?" he asked, voice strained but steady. "I think so," she panted. "You?" "Barely," he muttered. Blood streaked his shirt. His jaw was tight, eyes hard. "Keep moving. They won't stop." She fired again, the rifle kicking back against her shoulder. Another man fell, writhing. The smell of smoke, blood, sweat, and fear filled the cabin. "They're breaking through the back," she shouted. "I got it," he yelled, racing across the floor. He fired from the corner, dropping 2 men before they even reached the door. She followed, rifle ready, eyes wide. Outside, more shadows moved. Horses pawing at the earth, men shouting orders they thought would scare them. But inside, they were a wall, not of wood, but of fire, fear, and blood. Standing side by side against everything coming at them, her shoulder burned, her hands slick, but she didn't stop. She aimed, she fired, she ducked. Every shot a heartbeat, every breath a scream. "We're close to the barn," he shouted. "Push them there." She moved, stepping over a body, heart hammering. "I can't believe we're still alive." "Then believe it," he barked. "We're not dead yet. Keep fighting." The last man approached the window. She fired, center mass. He collapsed outside, eyes wide, blood blooming across his shirt. She dropped the rifle, chest heaving, sweat stinging her eyes. "We did it," she whispered, almost trembling. "Not done yet," he said, scanning. The silence that followed was thick, broken only by distant groans and the crackling of the dying fire. She sank to the floor, knees pressed to her chest. I killed again. You survived," he said softly, kneeling beside her. "That's what matters. You stood. You fought. We both did." Outside, the night still held shadows, but the sound of pursuit faded. The air cleared, smoke curling lazily from footprints and scattered embers. They were battered, bloodied, scarred, but neither bowed. Her hands shook, eyes wide, chest heaving. I never thought I... "You did," he said quietly. "You stood. You didn't run." They looked at each other. Exhaustion, adrenaline, grief, and a strange, heavy relief mingled between them. Words weren't enough. Only the pounding of hearts and the ragged breaths filled the silence. "Next time," she whispered, voice tight, "we won't have to do this alone." He nodded, gun lowering, eyes softening, but wary. "No, next time, maybe not. But tonight, we survived. That's enough." Outside, the firelight flickered, shadows retreating into the trees. The smell of smoke, gunpowder, and blood lingered. They were alive, standing amid ruin, hearts pounding, bodies aching, spirits unbroken. No surrender, no apologies, no regrets. Only the quiet understanding that the fight had changed them. Scarred, yes. Fearful, yes. But neither bowed, and in that silence, heavy with the aftermath, they realized something unspoken but clear. Together, they were unstoppable, even when the world tried to tear them apart. Dawn came slow, red and heavy, casting the ranch in a muted glow through the haze of smoke. The buildings smoldered, blackened wood groaning as if the night itself was sighing. The air was thick with ash, carrying the scent of blood, gunpowder, and scorched timber. Silence pressed on everything. No shouts, no footsteps, only the occasional crack of burning wood, collapsing. She stood at the edge of the porch, hair matted, clothes torn, face streaked with soot and tears. The smell of her own sweat and blood lingered in her nose. She didn't move. She didn't speak. She just watched. He emerged from the shadows, rifle slung over his shoulder, shoulders stiff, jaw tight. He didn't look at her, but his presence anchored her in the chaos, made the destruction tangible, yet bearable. Every building, every fence, every memory they had fought for was reduced to glowing embers. But neither of them flinched. "You're not leaving," he said finally, voice low, almost rough from the night. She shook her head. "No, not anymore." He studied her, eyes narrowing. "Why stay? Everything's gone." She tilted her head, lips tight. "Because I can choose now. Not because I'm forced." "Good," he said simply. No praise, no softness, just a word heavy with understanding. She felt it, a weight lifting, settling in the space between them. The ground beneath them was littered with debris, broken boards, scorched hay, spent shells. She picked up a fragment of wood, turning it over in her hands, feeling the heat still clinging to it. "It looks worse than it feels," she said quietly. "You learned a long time ago to survive worse," he replied. "Keep walking forward, even when it hurts. That's all you can do." Her hands shook. "I never thought I could stand up. I never thought I could fight. Not like last night you did. You did everything." His eyes flicked to the horizon, to the smoke drifting against the pink dawn. "And you'll keep doing it. Nothing can take that away from you." She dropped the wood, letting it fall into the ash at her feet. "I thought I wanted safety. I thought he would protect me. I begged and begged. I thought I'd die if I didn't get it. And now?" he asked, voice low, almost hesitant. "Now? I know safety isn't given. It's earned. It's chosen." She stepped closer, boots crunching on blackened dirt. "And I choose to stay, with you here, even if there's nothing left." He said nothing, letting her words hang in the smoke-choked air. His gaze swept the horizon, the burned fields, the hollowed barns. The world felt like a husk, fragile and temporary, and yet, amidst the ruin, something held steady between them, something unspoken but unshakable. A breeze stirred, carrying cinders across her face. She blinked, tasting the grit on her lips. "Do you regret it?" she asked softly. "Regret what?" "Everything. Letting them come. Letting it happen." He shook his head. "No. Everything that came. Made us this. Made us stronger, harder, wiser." He stepped closer, boots crunching on ash. "We survived. That's all that matters. That, and standing in the wreckage, without bowing. You understand that now, don't you?" She nodded, throat tight. "Yes, I understand. I've always understood, but I was too afraid to admit it. Too afraid to look at myself." "Then look now," he said. "See what you've become. See what we've become." The wind carried the smell of smoke, of death, of blood. She closed her eyes, inhaled, and let it fill her. Her hands were scarred, her arms sore, her legs bruised, her heart pounded in her chest. But she stood tall. No one forced her here. She had chosen it. She had survived it. "I'm not asking for forgiveness," she said, voice low. "Not from you, not from anyone. I just need to stand here now. I need to see that I'm still me." "You are," he said, "and you always will be, even if the world burns around us." They walked slowly through the ruins, boots crunching, eyes sweeping over broken memories. She touched a scorched post, remnants of a door frame. The heat had faded, but the memory of fire lingered. She drew her hand back, letting it hover for a moment, before moving on. "Do you think they'll come back?" she asked, voice small. "Maybe," he said. "Maybe they'll try, but it won't matter. Not anymore. Not to us." She swallowed, chest tight. "I used to think I needed protection. From them, from him, from life itself." "You don't," he said. "You never did. You had it inside you all along. You just had to choose to see it." She looked up at him, eyes wide and raw. "And now I see it. I see that I'm not afraid. Not really. Not if I have you beside me. Not if we have each other." He didn't smile, didn't reach for her, but his shoulders loosened slightly. His presence was enough. She didn't need words. The silence between them carried all that had been said and all that couldn't be. said Dot. Smoke rose from the last corner of the barn. Sparks drifted skyward, falling like tiny stars before dissolving into gray. She watched them, feeling a strange calm settle over her chest. "I'm not running," she whispered. "Not anymore. Not from him. Not from anyone. Not from myself." "You don't have to," he said. "And you never will. Not if you stand here. Not if you keep moving forward." They walked to the edge of the field, side by side, bodies tired but unbroken. The wind carried the scent of ash and earth, and in that silence, they understood the truth. The world could crumble, enemies could come. Fire could consume everything, but nothing could break them. She looked at the horizon, at the rising sun casting pink and gold across the scorched earth. "It's over," she said. "For now," he replied, voice low. "But we're ready. We'll survive whatever comes next. No more pleading. No more begging. No more fear. Just two figures standing amidst ruin, scarred, changed, but unbroken." The ranch smoldered behind them, blackened skeletons of memory, but they didn't look back. Together, they faced the dawn, breathing in the ashes, letting them settle into the past, in the quiet, heavy with loss and survival. They understood. They had burned, bled, and fought. They had seen the worst and lived. And now, finally, they were free. The wind whispered through the remains of the fence, rustled the scorched hay. She lifted her head, shoulders squared, eyes steady. He fell into step beside her, silent, unwavering. Together, they moved forward, carrying the weight of what had happened and the strength it had given them. The ranch lay in ruins, but they stood whole, and that was enough.